Hello, hello, ladies. How are we going? How are we going? How are we going? I'm not echoing, I'm just repeating. I am not echoing, I'm merely repeating. Hello, Hayden. Hello, Jack Meeg. How's it going, my friends? Hello, Philae. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? What is good? We shall kick off momentarily. But I want to give it just a TD. Oh, Herbert TV! How are you going, man? You sent me something on Skype recently, didn't you? That's great to hear, man. That is great to hear. Z Nation in the house. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was my cue to get started. So we are rolling in. Tindy in the house. And first up, we are going to absolutely demolish a Sicilian dragon in style, actually. So let's go. I'm going to blitz through the opening moves because everyone knows what's cooking here. This is the so-called Yugoslav attack in the Sicilian dragon. I have an agenda that had just occurred to me now. I'm going to please my good friend Tindy today. Hello Milo, hi Ansh. How's it going, ladies? On YouTube, Queen R5, H4, Bishop B3, 95. Everything is normal. B5 isn't normal, however. So the first question of the day, which is a bit of a meh question, whoa, is what are we doing here? What are we doing here? How do we respond to this? This looks like a Sicilian dragon. That is a correct observation. I'm pretty sure that's exactly the precise words I said. Hayden, I am easy either way. How often do you play the King's Gambit at my level, Sajib? Almost never. Almost never. And for a good reason. Think 45 minutes if I can munch the b5 pawn. I don't understand the 45 minutes. You mean 45 seconds, right? Like, hello, this pawn is hanging. Let's eat it. Let's not embarrass ourselves with Balrog. Welcome in. Oh, don't worry, the checkmate will come. Everything in due course. First, we dispatch the attack. Now, here, white played something very, very interesting. They played knight c3, but there was something far more promising here to be played. Something that I don't think many humans would consider. Yeah, it does open up the b file, but the b file is vastly irrelevant, or I should say is infertile ground, because the b3 bishop shields it. Hey Ali, how are you going, man? No, it actually supports the rook c3 sacrifice because the queen is also attacking it. Yeah, b5 is a very... In fact, one of the biggest main lines here is rook c3 right away. And the other one is knight c4, take, rook takes, and rook doubling. So, to my mind, the queen on a5 is optimally placed for many purposes in the dragon. Anywho. Yeah, b5 was the lemon, yes. So knight f5 is very interesting. And apparently after take, king h8, knight takes, rook takes, we can just pick off every single pawn on the board. Although the engine's favorite move in this position is actually h5. Because the attack is still unpleasant. It's quite amazing that we lost both of our knights, and somehow it now feels like black has no attack, even though black is only short of a rook, which was on a8, right? So we traded that for that, and yet it feels somehow that white is safer than ever before. Very weird. And if I try to get too cocky, then I guess we take. And now h6 is a game-winning threat. Ouch! Brian Levy, you know, very often we sack the h-pawn in order to pave the way for the attack. For example, here knight takes h5, then after queen d6 g4, the h-file is open right away. Yes, so now usually there's a knight on d4, but now g4 is not playable. Anyway, back to the game. We played knight c3 back, perfectly fine. Queen b7, stepping out of the motif. Okay, what do we do now, ladies? What are we doing now? H-pawn, don't stop. Very good, Herbert. You are my hero, buddy. H5. And here black completely lost the plot. Completely lost the plot. Hey, Jazz. Knight c4 was the only legal move. And here, interestingly, the engine gives up the bishop here. So I guess bishop takes, rook takes is less clear. Although even here, white is clearly winning. Thank you, Jazz. I think that speaks to you, by the way, too, that video, indeed. Anyway, black played rook a b8. Now that is just outrageously stupid. No, the engine is right. Fischer always gave up this bishop. And that's what the engine is saying too. Knight h5 always met by g4, and then the h-file is opening up. But now after rook a b8, it's just game over because we take. And they have to take back with the h-pawn due to the pin. Okay, white to move. White to move. Bishop a6. Of course, this is the natural course of action. And in this position, back play the suicidal knight c4. I'm curious how many of you know the correct method of attack against bishop h8. It's a very famous motif. Every chess player must know this. And while you're busy with that, I want to check something. Okay, this may not be it. Okay, this is it. Let's see. Okay, tapping the knight is potentially on the money. I will give some time to YouTube. No, YouTube hasn't found it yet. YouTube hasn't found it yet. By the way, don't forget please to lean on the subscribe button. Yes, bishop f8. That's the big cojones move. And for those of you who don't know this motif, the idea of course is rook takes h8, check, queen check, and then mate. And if the rook takes f8, then you still go in on the bishop. Check, check, rook h1, utilizing the open file. And after knight h5, usually there are multiple ways to convert. The very mundane g4 wins. The very mundane knight d5 wins. And the very mundane knight f5 also wins. Basically, black has no way to break this pin. And so f takes g6 next move is going to be absolutely terminal. Any questions? No? No questions? Okay, very good. So in the game after HG, bishop h6, they played knight c4. Where do we go with the lady now? Yeah, this is very thematic. That is correct. Very thematic indeed. Rook h5, I don't like because then we run out of rooks. And we need rooks to give a mate. Yeah, I know what position you meant. I don't think so. Fisher, if you want my honest answer, I have absolutely zero idea. Like, no clue. Absolutely no clue. I am very rarely faced by chess statistics, by the way. Ah, sorry, it's not called a mate. It's a sack mate. That's correct, yes. Joker, welcome in, buddy. Welcome. Welcome in. So what is our move, ladies? I'm not hearing the goods. I am not hearing the goods. Can I get the goods, please? I see. Very good. Brian Levy is on the money. So we want to stay in the diagonal, but there is a difference between these two moves. Queen e1 is also good, by the way. If you go to g5, then sometimes rook c5 is a bit annoying. Although knight f5, for example, here is quite sexy. So even this wins. But they played queen f4 because they wanted to provoke e5, which was promptly played. What do we do? What is the most accurate retreat with the queen? That was a hint. That was a hint. I will show this to Tindy. He's gonna love this. Oh, I'm so glad that I found this game. Oh, Tindy, today is your day, brother. Today is your day. Bishop takes g7. It is only the way to study games, Fisher, if there is someone who is guiding you. Bishop takes g7, game resigned. GG, because EF bishop f6 is an unstoppable Matotski. Welcome in, Courtney. Yeah, don't forget to sack your queen. If you don't sack your queen, you are not playing the game, yeah? How did we like this? From a scale of 1 to 10. Yeah, it was not quite Fisher, but yeah. Why is Tindy not on Twitch? Because he very generously offered to take care of the YouTube crew. So Tindy is moderating the YouTube crew. What if he just takes the bishop? We kindly announce mate in 2. That's what happens. Check and then mate. That's actually a faster death than taking the queen. Yeah, it was pretty easy, right? Alright, so guys, this is what's gonna happen now. This wasn't planned, but I accidentally stumbled upon some golden content. So Tindy yesterday was complaining a little bit about the Pirc and his struggles in the Pirc. And I realized that every now and then I do play this beautiful opening. And so what we are going to do now is that we're going to show a selection of games for Tindy where I played the Pirc with black. No less. How is that? Just for a little bit of, you know, extra funsies. So let's start here. Not a banger right away, but an acceptable way to play. It's very difficult, Fisher. So I have spoken about this in my YouTube videos multiple times. That studying chess on your own is a lot more difficult than with guidance. Doable, but more complicated. Alright, Tindy, first of all, you can consider doing a modern move order, but it doesn't make a big difference. The only reason why I like to do it this way is because now I can be kind of smart and hold the knight back on g8, denying bishop h6. So if you do a Pirc move order, then you never have the option of denying this. Like, smart players after bishop e3 already don't play bishop g7, but start playing stuff like c6 or whatever, because now this is coming. But that's just a little side note. Basel Hatamley, thank you so much for the YouTube sub. So let's see, c6, b5. So what I do is that I immediately launch the queenside counterplay, trying to discourage castles. Or if they start a castle there, then, you know, I can pull ahead easily. Bishop d3, knight d7, f3. So he's still playing the waiting game of moving my knight so they can come down here. And I am also game with that. I played a5. They play h4. I routinely play h5 against this. And that's exactly what I did in the game too. You would be shocked to know that the engine evaluation of this position is 0.29. Sully. 150, but close enough. 150 attack. 150. 93, very typical. Sorry, I need to text my brother back quickly. Knight h3, knight f6. Now I no longer have to worry about bishop h6 having played h5, so a complete development. Very good. Not castling is quite an important point, but you always need to look out for e5. d5 played, and this is a mistake. Take. Take. And now white's center has fallen apart. So if we look at what went down here, is that I lost a b pawn for an f pawn. What that means is that now this is isolated and weak. The g4 square is accessible for my knight, and I have a b file to work with. The valuation has swung to black's favor like crazy. Now I'm good to castle because the position has disintegrated so badly for white that I'm not fearing bishop h6 at all. They played it, and I CBF 95. Beautiful central outpost. Take, take. And as far as I'm concerned, black is close to be completely winning here because of the structural deficiencies. But they decided to castle into an attack. Not anymore, KYZ. I don't need to be precise here anymore. The position plays itself. I should have played here queen b6. Played a4 first. The idea was to be able to bite into b3 after queen b6, rook b8. a3, queen b6. Queen d4. Begging for a queen trade. Low T idea, I decline. In hindsight, of course, I should have gone to b7, because then the attack on b2 is going to be still very, very obnoxious to deal with. Knight g5. Rook c8. Now I am eyeing to put my rooks on these two files and pull off some sacrificial concept, whatever that may be. Rook b8. Beauty. Knight d5, correct. Take. Take. And in this position, I missed a very, very good move for black, which is so butt ugly, I didn't even think about it. What do you think, guys? Black's best move is here. I don't know which color you want to go to b4 with, but it's a queen blunder either way. f6, very good. Very good. So it's f6. Breaking the pin with a tempo. I completely missed this. Yeah, I played king g8. Because note that rook takes f7 was a threat, by the way. Did we see that? So rook f7 is a threat. So I played king g8. g4. Total la la land move. Trade, or rather I accept the sack, h5 and bishop f5. It's the best feeling in chess when you play a defensive move, which is also a mate threat. And now, since I'm up 4,000 pawns, I now renewed the idea of a queen trade. My opponent said, "Nay, brother." I played queen b3 because I'm a cheeky bugger. And now I played a sexy move. Who can guess what the sexy move was? Oh, Viral is already coming in strong on Twitch. Viral is coming in strong already. So what do we do? I don't know what a7 is supposed to mean. Yep, Gary Gaza coming in strong. Gary Gaza. Queen takes a3 because if you don't sack your queen, you're not playing the game, remember? And according to the engine, this is mate in 12. According to my opponent, it was less than that because after king h7, they gave up. So, I blitzed through this fairly quickly, but in summary, against bishop e3, queen d2 setups, you want to play in a way that discourages early bishop h6, and you want to start your queenside attack reasonably early. Once that's underway, you then can find the right moment to complete development, and bozo moves like d5 need punishment, which they did get. Okay, on to the next. I've got a few bangers for you, but I will leave the best for last. Okay, I don't remember this one, but this looks cool. Let's try to have a look at this. Philae, I don't think so, buddy. To be honest, I am not that inclined to play today. Alright, let's see. Tindy, are you here? Okay, game 2. Once again, I'm starting out with the modern move order. As soon as they don't commit to this, I will chuck the knight out because that needs to go there. Bishop e2. This used to be the biggest main line against the Pircs, believe it or not, in the 70s. And it was partly because of Karpov, who popularized it and scored a few nice victories on the back of it. What you need to understand about bishop e2 is that, of course, bishop c4 would be more desirable. The problem is that after castles, we have knight takes e4. And it turns out that the bishop is actually misplaced on c4 because of this fork. Hence, bishop e2. Castles. Castles. Now, there are multiple ways to play this. You can play for e5, you can play for c5. And you can also play knight c6. I like to play knight c6, provoking d5, and then just go back. And then you can bite into the center with c6 next. But in this game, I played knight c6. Oh, actually, that's how it went. And back. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so don't be shy to play knight c6 even if you can be kicked, because very often it gives you a hook. You can hit that with e6, you can hit that with c6. a4, a bit of a lemon, c6. a5, I have no idea what the guy is doing. And here I played a move that in hindsight maybe I shouldn't have, but I have no regrets. I played e5. Yeah, there is an earlier bishop c4 queen e2. That's a legit line. Welcome, Nova Chess Guy in the house. Right, so this is how it continued. Opponent played h3. And now I took d5. So these are the decisions that are very easy to go past as a lower rated player, because you just go like, well, I give up the d5 square, and we forget that actually e4 pawn, hello. So after take, if they have to take back with the pawn, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Now we have got a asymmetrical structure, and it is now looking very, very good. I played knight a6, and I'm very proud of this move. Stops b4, occasionally can jump into c5, and I'm developing the knight without obstructing the view of the bishop. Happy days. They took it. That is the hottest garbage so far in the game. You shouldn't trade bishops for knights. The double pawns are irrelevant, like 98% of the time. And now the b and c file pressure can mean that I can easily win this game on the queen side, but the f5 pawn push idea means that I can win the game on the king side. And white is utterly planless. Now, as for d6 is weak, it's yes and no. And it's mostly a no, because d5 is coming next. Yeah, they played bishop g5, queen c7. Now h6 was very natural here too. Maybe I should have done that, but I was quite attracted to the idea of rook b8, and then white is struggling with these two. Queen d2, bishop 5. Yeah, I should have played the h6. I really regret that in hindsight. g4, oh my lord. Bishop back, bishop h6. Now this is actually textbook club player tunnel vision misunderstanding. So when my opponent played g4 and then bishop h6, they are very clearly now in the mindset that they are attacking me, right? And there is absolutely zero attack to be seen or to be had on the king side for white. If anything, white is going to fall apart on the king side. Like, I don't even understand what they were hoping to get out of this. Because as long as I don't take, after bishop takes, king takes, there is zero attack here. Like, none whatsoever. Every move white plays on the king side is going to make it noticeably worse. Nirvana, chess is complicated, no matter what level you are on, friend. So I casually continued the queen side torture, rook c8. Now the threat is rook b8, and then something is gonna fall. Take, take, no worries. Rook c1. That's a very sad admission to the fact that this whole king side Shimazoli was all for nothing. Rook b8. Note how we are beautifully benefiting from the double pawns. Thank God for double pawns. Imagine if I had the superior straight pawn structure like this. I would hate my life with this pawn on b7. Look at how much better it is with a6. Big shout out to the I didn't do it because of double pawns. Knight e1. d1 rather, excuse me, and queen c4. And this is the other benefit of not having pawns here and here, meaning semi-open files, that I can penetrate sideways, if that makes sense. Knight e3, queen f4. And lo and behold, guess whose king is getting on the menu? Yeah. King g2. Okay, what would you guys play here for black? And let's assume that rook takes b2 is not hanging, because that's a too easy low-hanging fruit. So apart from rook b2, how else can we win this shindig? Very good, Mr. Nova Chess Guy. That's how we attack h5. ripping the king's side apart. Knight f1, begging for a queen trade. And this is where my opponent completely fell apart. Well, actually the position is falling apart. What is our move now? I mean, everything wins, granted, yeah? Yeah, I don't think knight g4 was playable. That's too soon. I just take it, yeah? And after bishop g4, knight h2. This is too speculative. There was no need for that. h5 correct, knight f1. And amongst the myriad of winning moves, the cleanest, of course, is to take g4. Because after f4 takes, we get to take this with a check. And essentially, black should have resigned here, but instead they opted to lose 4,000 more pawns. Yeah, I will blitz through the rest of the game because that was not really instructive from memory. It's just the opponent is in agony. Yeah, it was a very, very easy mop-up. So that was number 2, Tindy. That was number 2. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna keep the best for last. Okay, I can't help myself but show you this. This was so much fun, but it was not quite sound. Well, wait until I show you the final game, which was just absolutely bonkers. So, another Pirc. And now you already know why this is no bueno. But here my opponent actually fixed it. So instead of castling, they played bishop b3. So now we understand that this move is designed to step out of the knight e4 tactic. I played in knight a6. The idea, of course, is to break with c5. I like to break with c5 in the Pirc a lot because usually this is the move that leads to the most asymmetrical pawn structures. So if I have a choice between breaking with e5, c5 or e5, I tend to lean towards c5 on account of breaking symmetry. Now please excuse my utter stupidity, but here I didn't take this. I think I had some notions of rook e1 and then having dramas here, but that was completely false. And at this point, hello Shamrackle, I thought I like Ben Feingold. And one of the most important rules of Ben Feingold chess is... Oh, you absolute fair dinkum legend. Love you, man. Shout out to Tindy for the 10 buckies super chat on YouTube. Which, by the way, does get your game analyzed if you want to do that on YouTube too. Always sack the exchange. Exactly, Tapir Knight. Beautiful. So instead of guarding my pawn on, instead of guarding my rook on e8, or f8 rather, I went like, actually, let's have some fun. And I defended my pawn on d4. And these are the types of imbalances that you need to be very open to when you are playing the Pirc, because usually these are the methods how you get to obtain initiative. Right? My opponent took it, and I took it back. Now, out of curiosity, and obviously I couldn't have been aware of this during the game, but out of curiosity, can you guys type in your assumed engine evaluation for this position? What do you think is the correct eval of this position? Give me the numbers. I've got 0.8 for Jazz. Tactics says 1-1. Tapir Knight +1 for white. YouTube is not saying anything. Nova Chess Guy +1. YouTube plus 0.6, minus 0.2, plus 1.2, minus 0.9, plus 0.9, plus 0.4. So Gaza plus -2, that's a bit out of the range. Right. So basically what we are getting is that 98% of guesses range from 0 to +1. The truth, guys, is that there's one move in this position for white that leads to a 0.2 advantage to white, and everything else is 0-0. Now, I am merely stating this for the sake of demonstrating fun facts, because in a position like this, the engine's evaluation is utterly irrelevant. And the reason for that is because in the end of the day, you have to play moves. And in order to do that, you need to find plans. And this is where this evaluation tends to tip over to black's favor, because if I put you in the shoes of white and I ask you to find a constructive plan here for white, the longer you look, the more you realize that it's very, very difficult to come up with constructive plans. Well, tactics, as soon as you started with going backwards, you already know that you are in trouble, right? This should not be a move. But I hear you that you want to go f4. The problem is that f4 doesn't accomplish anything. You go knight c5, now e4 is already hanging, so you can't go knight d3. You go queen e2, I go bishop d7. You go knight d3, I go bishop b5. You go f4, and I don't know. I play a5. I give credit for the f4 idea. It's a good plan to spread the center control wider. But even here, it's very questionable what we have accomplished. And the bishop on b3 is beginning to feel very nervous. Very, very nervous. But yeah, fair enough. Anyway, let me show you how the game went. But I thought this was going to be a very cool idea to play with an exchange down for a pawn. But the reason why I did it is because I thought to myself, I have knight c5, I have a5, I have bishop d7, I have rook c8. I have about 5 obvious moves for black that will improve my position. And frankly, I couldn't see a single one for white other than queen d2. Which is how the game went. And this here is right away the testament to how not easy it is to play it for white. Plan is identical, by the way, f4. But it's not going to cut it. I played e6, and that was dumb. Here I faltered tactically. Who can find the best move for black? Very tricky. Because seemingly f7 is hanging. Knight c5. Bravo, bravo, Jazz. And it turns out that this is a complete lemon. Knight f7 loses to knight b3. Bishop takes f7 loses to bishop g5. And if neither, then I'm going to kick it out. This was bad. Queen f4, also bad. And now we are back to square one. Played knight c5. e5, tuck, tuck. And queen back. Who can tell me why elastic band knight takes g6 doesn't work here? Which is something that I had to reckon with. Yeah, exactly. The double D pawns were giving the love. Right. Yes, so the idea is that knight takes g6 loses to e5. And now both of them are hanging. The trick being that if I take the queen, knight takes back. Okay. Gameplay was knight d3. And this was the second time when I decided to be very, very, very cocky / very stupid. Take whichever you want. The obvious move is e5, and after the queen buggers off, you just play bishop f5, and you have got a dominant position, despite the material deficit. This is very instructive, by the way, here to note that one of the reasons why black is dominating this position, despite being an exchange down, is the fact that there are no open files on the board at all for the rooks. There is a semi-open file here, but it's useless. It sits on a board to put a rook here, right? Like, it does nothing. And even if I put the other rook here, you can't help but feel that white's position is extremely cramped. And that's because of the central pawn duo on these squares. Yeah. But I decided to be an idiot because I wanted to prove a point, and that was that even the endgame was better for black. And incredibly enough, this position, despite again being an exchange down, is far favorable for black. And again, the reason is identical. The rooks are useless. b5, I wanted to go after the bishop, and I also wanted to develop this guy here. A bit of a cheeky run around, but I want to land on c4. Ta-da. I should have played here a5. I don't know why I played bishop d5. But the pressure is so epic to watch. Like, look at these beautiful pieces. And the rooks are just sitting ducks waiting for stuff to defend. Oh, you should be scared with white here. Back. Now the plan is a5. And it's just torture. I really enjoyed this game. Probably you can tell. Because every single move just tightens the screw. And white is landing in a more and more hopeless position. Take, take. Now c2 is chronically weak. And I was hoping that this would happen. Because this now fixes the entire queenside pawn chain. c2 is weak as. And sometimes I even have tricks. When the rook is on c1, stuff like take, take. Yeah, I really had a very good time in this game. So now our next plan is going to be to tie them down even more. And now to activate this bishop. What should that look like? What is the neatest way to activate the f6 bishop, ladies? Let's go. Bishop d8, bishop b6. Yeah, but they are shooting in the back of your own pawn. There is a better way to go. Anand Rajan. Well done, buddy. Bishop g5. Now, if they play f4, which they should have done, then I can come back and start biting into that. But also, I have got a second diagonal to operate along. Nonetheless, f4 was a must. They played g3, and now this is complete, absolute bind. Like, look at this. It's so much fun to play a position like this. Yeah, after f4, I drop back. And then I will start biting into that pawn. So g5 is the plan now. But yeah, definitely f4 was the only legal move here. Right? Like, what happened in the game is very pleasing now. Note that the pawn is not hanging due to the pin. So they decided to ease the pain, but it's not really doing it. -6. And this is also something that a lot of players get wrong on lower levels when they start eating pawns like their life depended on it. I'm up a pawn, and this move forces a king and pawn ending. That's it. You don't need more to win a game than being a pawn up in a king and pawn ending. Bang. Simplifying and GG. That's it. Now, my game accuracy wouldn't be more than 85 in this game, but I had more fun than most games where I won with 97. Because the torture effect and the playing with an exchange down, but still scoring goals left and right and center was just very, very, very sweet. Now, Tindy, your question. If after c5 they play d5, generally speaking, you have got two plans. And sometimes you can even combine them. One is to play for b5 at all cost. And by all cost, I mean usually it comes at no cost, like right now b5. You always have, after c5, d5, b5 is always on the cards. No matter the conditions. And here it works like charm, because after takes, we managed to eliminate the central pawn. Yeah, if it doesn't work like that, then your plan is to prepare it. Knight c7, rook b8, a6, b5. That's plan 1. Plan 2 is to play for e6. Now that's dumb here because the bishop is here. But usually in this structure, this bishop is here. Which makes b5 harder, e6 easier. So you either break with e6 or b5 or sometimes both. Thank you, Simpson John, for the YouTube sub. Now, what I'm going to show you next is going to blow your socks off. I have to admit, though, that this game is going to be a little bit silly. So be prepared. Okay? Are you ready? Tindy, you are gonna be loving this. I might actually YouTube this game. Altogether separately, because this was one of the funnest games I've ever played. Alright, here we go. So, Austrian attack. Yeah, b5 is always the way to go. Knight f6, e5. Knight d7, this is all theory. Knight f3, c5. My opponent plays e6. I took it. And my opponent plays knight g5. Now, this is typically the type of stuff that you, Tindy, would hate. Because it feels like you're being attacked. But what you need to know is that it's double-edged. Because white is now throwing in the kitchen sink. And if the attack doesn't break through, they just burnt the bridges like mad. And here after knight f6, d takes c5 and castles, the engine already tells you that black is better. No, I'm just showing random games. As in not random, they are all mine. However, at this point, something crazy occurred to me. And I thought to myself, my favorite mantra, which is that if you are not sacking your queen, you're not playing the game. So I thought, okay, I'll take this. You take this. I'll take this. You take this. I'll take this. Now, please understand that this is total bananas. But every now and then, you want to have fun chess. And I thought that this was a genuinely good practical queen sack. 2 pieces for the queen. The knight has to go, which means I get to give a check. And that means I have 2 pieces for the queen, plus a loose white king. Now, if you think that I can't make it crazier than this, then wait for a second. Because after knight e6, of course, there's a check threatening here to pick off my rook. And at this point, I realized that if I go knight f6, and they go check, then after check, this queen is quite misplaced in the sense that king e2, bishop g4 is going to regain the queen, and then I'm going to regain the knight. By the way, this is how the game went. And if king f2, then I have knight g4. And if king g1, then after bishop b4, black is winning. Hello? Hello? Babeski! Take that! There's no way for black or white to avoid losing the queen back. It's mental. Because if you go g3, check, and check. And I'm winning the queen, winning the knight, winning the game. Huh? How is that? So this is how the game went. I took knight e6, knight f6. Knight c7 check. King d8 takes, check. King f2 check. King f3. Now at this point I was obsessing with finding a mate net. In particular with the involvement of the bishop. But it's difficult to pull off. Because if I bring the bishop to this diagonal, the knight hangs. So I figured that my best chance was to bring the knight to d4 and introduce a new attacker. Wait for it, wait for it. I have got more to show you guys. This is, I forgot what a brilliant game this was. I really have to YouTube this. So he plays h3, right? Hanging my knight. And now I'm thinking to myself that if I go check here and check, then after king f3, I don't have an obvious follow-up. And also king g4, knight e3 check, king d1, knight d1, rook d1 is not enough. Because I'm down a full rook. And even if I win this, can't do it, right? So then I thought, wait a tick. Actually, in this position, I can play h5. Because why the hell not? And the plan was that if they take, I take back with the pawn, I pick off the rook, and now rook is hanging, the king is still dancing in the middle of the board, and the knight is falling victim to whatever. Now, objectively speaking, and I want you to understand this position is dead lost. Like, not even close. Dead lost for black. Right? But this really does feel like you are getting just constantly shell-shocked with white. Constant shell-shock. I somehow had a feeling when I played this game, and I played it like a year ago, that I was gonna win this. Even though I knew that I was... Like, this is beyond the Talish sacrifices, right? And I don't want to compare myself to Tal, but the idea is, yeah, to spice things up a little bit. Welcome, and so hit begins. No, I haven't. So yeah, I played h5. Opponent plays bishop b5. And this is the other thing that chess moves like this do to the opponent. They disorient you like mad. Yeah, probably bishop g4 is also on the cards, but I didn't want to win the queen because that simplifies the position. That's the irony. And if I take the queen, I just lose the endgame. I don't want this queen. Anyway, so opponent played bishop b5, and that's just a blunder. Now after knight d4 check, black is equal. And the reason for that, and I might have forgotten to tell you this tiny little detail, is because now after king g3 it's mate. Hello? How was that? No, after HG, bishop G doesn't do it. I don't like bishop takes G4, even in objectivity aside, because as I said, this endgame I'm losing. Right? Like, even if I regain the knight, now the initiative is gone. The only thing I want to have in this position is to maintain attack. As soon as I cash in on material, it's gone. And my opponent, realized, unfortunately, that he had to sack the queen. I mean, this was plan B. What do you guys reckon about this one? That's not a bad Matutski about centralized pieces. Hello? That's how you do it, ladies. Who needs material? Who needs material when you can play like this? So, the rest is a little bit of a letdown, because my opponent unfortunately took on d4, and so I had to convert a boring endgame, which I did duly. Knight f2, knight h1, and ironically, we end up in a rook endgame after all this chaos. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? But unfortunately for white, this king and rook ending is really, really bad, because my rook is going to penetrate on the c file with elementary power. Thank you, Calby, for the YouTube sub, buddy. Love you long time. I'll show you how I won. It wasn't too long. G4. Very important not to take, because that would open up the rook's file. Ignore it. Rook c8. We want to penetrate. We don't want them to penetrate. Take, take. Rook g1. Correct. Check. And essentially, this is a good time to resign, because if you don't want to lose this pawn, you have to go back to g2, which in turn loses this. Or you can go forward, but then you lose h3. Opponent went back, and I played this for whatever weird reason. Objectively, by the way, this move is not worse than winning the pawn, because if rook a1, then they are playing a rook down, and now I can just enter with the king and win the game. So they did play rook e1. Yeah, h4 is also good. Now I'm gluing the king to that pawn. f5. And now I'm picking off the f5 pawn. These are little tricks that, once you are an experienced endgame player, they come to you naturally to go for a check like this. And the king has to pick a side, and whichever side they pick, they lose a pawn. Now, I could have taken this, but I thought that I was being smart, and I'm actually correct. Because if I take this, they will start doing some counterplay. But if I take this, and then I go here, then I can't move the rook without losing that with check, and then I come back for this. Engine approved. a4 takes, and now b5 is gonna come. Or that. And remember the mantra, connected pass pawns win the rook ending. And the rest is just mop up. Up, 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 and resigns. Probably one of the wildest games I've ever played in my life, and I don't know why it didn't occur to me to YouTube this earlier. I'm so glad I found it. Normally I would expect about 5,000 subscribes for this. Karim, if you don't mind, I would like to keep it a Pirc day for today. Out of respect for Tindy, who has very generously donated to the channel $5 quadrillion. But I'm open to the idea of a Sveshnikov day as well for another stream. Okay? Alright, here's another crazy one, Tindy. Well, it's not... like I can't outdo this, right? So don't expect anything flashy after what I just showed you. But this is another good example of how to play the Pirc. Roughly the last 2 years. Pravav, I would never ever enter a chess tournament, ever, with the sole purpose of winning money. That should be the icing on the cake, not the reason for entry. Yeah, I really felt like Tali in that one. Alright, let's see one more. Bishop g5, castles, bishop d3. Now, this is another hint for you, Tindy, that if the bishop comes out reasonably soon, generally speaking, bishop g4 is always on the cards. And the idea is that you will take and then you will attack the d4 pawn with knight c6, provoking d5, and then you can jump to one of these two squares. Right, so for example, h3, take, knight c6. And now d5 is not good because I can jump and pick my target. Queen goes back and you play c6. No rush to take this yet. No, I don't play Queen's Gambit Decline. So my opponent played here the pathetic bishop back. And once again, it's time to challenge the center. Now, I don't know, Tindy, if you are familiar. But actually, I will ask the chat. What is Black's move after this? Thank you for the follow, Fyodor Dostoyev. So, what is the correct move here? Queen a5. That's what you need to remember, Tindy. That if they take this, you take e4. And now there is 5,000 things hanging. And if d, you just go here. And if queen d8, it might look scary, but it's not. You take. They take, you take, and that's it. So yeah, queen a5. Alright, they played in the game e5. And here I again felt very inspired to do crazy stuff. But it's actually sound. What do you guys think is the best move here for black? Knight d7 on the YouTube, on the Twitch. CD4, very good. YouTube coming in strong with Eliza and Arthur. CD. And the idea is plain simple. If they take f6, you take back, and they have got 2 hanging. Always the tactics, guys. Always the tactics. This is exactly how the game went, by the way. I mean, they can't do anything else, right? Because if knight takes here, then I can take this. Again, hanging the bishop, but hitting the knight. So takes, they took back with the... They took with the queen. But queen d4 right away here is very bad on account of knight c6. And now I'm forking everything, yeah? So they had to take f6 first, then take this. Now I can't take a g5 because this is hanging. Therefore, we first insert bishop f3 and then take g5. And this is more or less resignable for white because the king is stuck in the middle and this bishop is a beast. Check. And my opponent decided to give up castling rights by playing king d1. Knight e2 would have been better, but honestly, after knight c6, this is not what I would call fun, but playable still. King d1, knight c6, rook e1, queen b6. Hitting here, pressuring here. Okay, what's the win now? Which I missed. Yeah, well, dude, if you play Pirc, you have to be ready for sharp. And you have to be ready for complex. Because you need to fight back from a slight disadvantage. Queen b4, bishop c... Yeah, bishop c3, that's correct. Bishop takes, the pawn is pinned, queen takes, queen f2. And see you later, alligator. Instead, I embarrassed myself with knight d4. And we just won a piece. Matutski, if that's a question to me, Rod, no, I dominantly do not. But every now and then I find myself in... every now and then when I figure out... Well, I don't figure out, but every now and then I play a bunch of games for certain openings. Opening to provide material for my students, if that makes sense. So if a student of mine switches to the French, I start playing on my accounts the French to provide them with simple games and all that jazz. Alright, I think that will do for the periods, guys, for today. That was my way to express my endless gratitude to Tindy. What do I think of the Collie system? Every single opening, my friend, that has the name system in it, by default gets my evaluation of put it in the bin. Put it in the bin where it belongs. Okay, let me see. I got a few more games stocked up that we can have a look at. Unless peeps want to have their own games analyzed. Okay, this was absolute banana city. I wanted to check this game out. Let's have a look at this. Are we ready? Any of my students play the Caro-Kann? Nope. I would ban them from being one of mine. Nah, I'm joking. But no. Somehow it never happened. I never had a... Oh, sorry, I'm lying. I have one student who plays the Caro-Kann. But he has been playing it for longer than I have been alive, so... That was... Yeah, never gonna change. Tindy! You already paid for it, man! Jeez, Louise, Tindy, stop! You are way too kind, dude. No, I just randomly pulled this out of my database. So let's have a look. Catalan, seemingly. Yeah, that does sound like a fun book. Alright, let's go. Queen c2, 94. Nothing crazy so far. Knight d2. Yeah, you guys need to shape up. It's not right that Tindy is pouring all the money on my face. f5. What do we call this structure? Especially when it's complemented with c6. The lame wall, correct. The lame wall, also known as the Stonewall. Okay, b3, very logical, aiming to trade the dark squared bishop, which he consequently doesn't do. Brilliant minds. Believe it or not, the engine says after b5, black is better. I'm not kidding. Queen e8, knight takes, and f3. Apparently pawn takes was the correct take. Bishop takes is a mistake because of b5. I have no idea what the engine is going on about. No, it's not the Berlin, it's the Stonewall. Takes, knight d2 pawn sack. Now this is where white begins to play very, very aggressive chess. And I love this. Very aggro chess, and the bishops are now really, really active. What the hell is this? Oh, yeah, I changed the music. I changed the music on the donation on Twitch so that I won't get demonetized. Thank you so much, Ainan. I know who you are. Give me a sec. Thank you so much, Anon. I think I know who you are, but I appreciate you even more because of that. The rods, well, I have been streaming now quite a bit. Now I had to pick a music that was default music from Streamlabs so I don't get hit on YouTube with a demonetization. Alright, can we play this now for white, guys? Rook c1 to stop c5. I like the sound of that. Why is white better? Because we have got piece activity and they have got piece catastrophe. But the advantage is minimal. Yeah, I'm streaming most of this time. Because I have time this time. They played knight e4. Very nice centralization. King h8. And now we need another smart move. I really like the way how white plays this game. Thank you, Rods. Nah, guys, d5 is just losing a pawn for nothing, right? We need to be a bit realistic. This is a too big pawn to lose. Nah. Because you either win here or you lose. And this is a one move cheap threat, right? And if I just stop it, we're out. It's just not enough. This is what we call cheaps. Cheapsies. We don't play cheap chess. Thank you, My Knight Fox. Bishop a3, guys, is the move that I really like here. Because it trades off black's only decent piece. And it also paves the way for the knight to jump into d6 and be an absolute trooper. This is how the game ended. Takes, knight c4. This is what we call pseudo activity. When you move one knight forward when everybody else is on the back rank. You should always be very to not do this. Because 99.8 times out of 100, it's gonna fall on its face. When we try to make a miracle with one piece. Not gonna happen. But they had a dream, so they carried on. Like a pork chop. What was the very, very crude shock? Oh, Arthur coming in strong. So is Tactics. Oh, Pancakes, welcome in. And Tapir Knight is coming in strong as well. Bishop h5. And we have got a Matutski and a Hanging Queen. Good luck, Chuck. And with that, we are approaching, guys, the culmination of the stream. The final game. And that is gonna be this one here. Another banger. Now, I'm very curious if anyone knows the name of this red hot garbage. This. Does anyone know what this is called? The Snake Benoni. I don't know what moron named it the Snake Benoni, but it is called the Snake Benoni. It is also called a royal piece of garbage. Why are you certain about Bishop h5? It was winning the game, no? Wow, pancakes are good. Thank you so much for the subski. Love you, man. Sorry, maybe I should have elaborated, but after Bishop h5, if Rook took on f1, the other Rook takes back, the Queen was still hanging, and Rook f8 was mate. So yeah, there is that. So Bishop Snake Benoni is on the menu. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. When they play this garbage to you, you just play normal chess. Bishop g5 is best, exploiting the absence of the bishop on either of these two squares. And now d6. I love this, man. And from here on out, it is party time. It is absolutely party time. Now we have got a lot of goodies. Now white he played e3, which is marginally better than e4, because e4 can be met by h6 here, and then in some cases this can be targeted. Rook e8 maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit reluctant to make a call on this. e3 was played in the game. Maybe e4 is just as good. Yeah, shout out to all the 96 of you in YouTube. h6 played, bishop back, queen b6 played. Wait, did I disable the Guns N' Roses sound too? I didn't realize that. I didn't think I did. Was it not playing Welcome to the Jungle anymore? I need to fix that. Okay, I will fix that. So, what do we do after Queen B6, ladies? Well, Eliza, we need now about 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. And it's coming in very, very slowly. So if you are watching me right now on YouTube, please consider smashing the heck out of the subscribe button. Queen c2 is alright. Queen c2 is alright, but it forgets the d6 pawn, so we need something better. Bishop takes f6 is black's trick, because then they want to take this. And all of a sudden, this is not that happy of a story. So, no, bishop f6 is actually a mistake. The best move is the ugliest move here, believe it or not. The best is the ugliest. Rook b1. Rook b1 indeed. Queen d2 falls for knight e4 viral. That would be very, very bad news. Knight e4. And now comes the second very important idea. A beautiful move that basically puts white kilometers ahead. Yeah, bishop f6 is not cutting it, guys. After queen b2, we are in trouble. The only move that doesn't land us in trouble is queen c1, and no one wants to trade queens. Like, take gf6, and all the fun is gone, with the queens being gone. But what now? Tapir knight, you are close. Yeah, dude, unfortunately, I can't really change my daily routine, and I can't tell my daughter's school to not to run a 9 to 3. So, there's only so much I can do, buddy. Yeah. Exactly, Herbert. Very good. Bishop d3, sack the house. It's only a pawn. Knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and king e2. And white is completely winning. A very important trick here to notice is that knight takes d6 is well met by two things. Castles, when we just go e4, e5 and kill. But there is also the beautiful bishop e7, after which black has to jettison the exchange because this loses a queen. Yeah, so after bishop e7, knight e8 is forced. Which is like one of the saddest moves in history. Instead of rook b1, queen c2, no, because then you hang d6. No, rook b1 is best move. Like, white is playing best moves all the way here. King e2, queen a5, queen c2. Beautiful chess. Beautiful chess. Bishop f6, I mean, this is already resignation. The problem that black is facing after queen c2 is going to be revealed to us by one of you guys. What does knight c6 lose to, which is the most logical move? Thank you, Michael Unlimited. Hello, hello, friend. Welcome in. Also, YouTube chat, if you could press the heart thingy-mobobby at the bottom right, that would be very, very helpful to make the algorithm do some gymnastics for us. Rook b5. Basel Hatamle coming in strong from Iran, I guess. Winning the piece. Here, here, and we pick off the c3 bishop. So bishop f6 was played. Take, take, and bishop c4. And basically, black is completely busted here. Queen f5 incoming. Yeah, massage Diago, please. Massage Diago, press the subscribe. These are the two most important messages for today. King g7 played, knight h4 played, knight c6 played, f4. Now this was a very unnecessary move. White wanted to cut out knight e5 from the equation, but it was perfectly silly. We can just come in with the goods here, rook b5 or even queen e4. Queen c3, bishop d3, and good luck Chuck stopping the mate. He wanted to be very, very clean. And granted, he ended up being very clean. And now black resigned because of bishop d3 is unstoppable. Do I prefer Ronaldo or Messi? I don't care. Two brilliant athletes. I like them both. Probably the most underwhelming answer you could ever get for that question, but it is what it is. Messi is more accomplished though, so if we had to pick the GOAT between the two, it would be Messi any day of the week. Right, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to call it a night or a day or a morning wherever you are. Please, please, please don't forget to press the subscribe button on YouTube so that you will be notified and, you know, all that shindig. And we can grow as a channel together. We are going to now radio off. I'm not sure where to though. I guess Danya. Yeah, I will radio off to Danya. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow back at the same time. Cheerio.